You don't need it, you don't need it, you don't need it. Ladies, we know we are mature, we're wise, we've lived a little bit in life, and there are reasons why we know we don't need it, but we might need a reminder of why. We are in the height of summer right now, and I thought it was a great time to talk about what we do not need in our closets and what we need to keep in mind as we start to see all the summer sales going on strong, people trying to clean out their inventory. And I'm also seeing pre-fall clothings trickle in. So I thought this is the perfect time to remind us why we don't need it. So I have digested countless content creators, fashionistas, editorials, and what we should have in our closet for each season. And I'm here to tell you that about 90% or more of the advice that we receive as mature women is not for us. So let's talk about that now. So the biggest reason why the style advice we receive for mature women is not accurate is, in my opinion, it's because they're not taking into account our lifestyle changes. Once you reach 60, not only does the body change, but oftentimes your lifestyle changes. You are either semi-retired, possibly working part-time, your roles have changed. You're usually not dressing for a full-time job that you have to commute to. Now, of course, these are all caveats. Well, I have to say there are caveats for all of the things we're going to talk about here today, simply because not everybody over 60 is going to be living the type of lifestyle that maybe 70 or 80% of us are living right now. It really depends on your lifestyle and what you are doing in your life, what you have to dress for in life. That's what I mean when I say lifestyle, because, I can see all sorts of beautiful clothes that I can kind of drool over, but if they're not going to work for my lifestyle, there's no reason to own them. And that's kind of what we're going to break down here today. We have kind of figured out what just does not work on us at this age, but sometimes we need that reminder too, because we get caught up in the excitement of the new season and, maybe finding and buying a few new pieces for our wardrobe. So I just thought this was a good time. It's a refresher for me. Hopefully it'll be a refresher for you on really thinking about what we do not need in our wardrobe anymore. So I've got a couple categories here that we are going to start with, and the first one is going to be blazers. So here is where we have to ask ourselves, where are we going in this outfit? In other words, if you do not work in a corporate environment or a place where you have to dress up, are you going to wear some of these looks in your everyday life? I mean, are you going to go out to lunch in these looks? Are you going to meet a friend or go to a family gathering in these looks? This is not something that I would wear ever in my everyday life, just because the occasion does not call for that amount of being dressed up. Now, I understand if you are a woman who just loves her blazers, you wear them with your jeans all the time. I completely understand that, because that is a part of your personal style. It's something that you really love. But if you are still looking for that third piece, yet you don't want to feel corporate or you don't want to be restricted in your movements, I would recommend that rather than buying the normal classic suit blazer, you get something that is I like the knit blazers. And I've heard people take these down to some content creators saying that's not really a blazer. However, if you just want a little bit of structure to your outfit and you live a very casual lifestyle, they're a great alternative, and you can get them in different colors and patterns, and you can continue to wear those blazers that are part of your personal style, but maybe you can up the comfort level on them. And the other options you could do is you can wear a sweater vest. I really like the sweater vest look because it gives you the opportunity to maybe wear a long sleeve blouse or shirt underneath that and still have that third piece look. And it's just a nice, layered look that you can use that is a little bit dressed down, maybe for a more casual outfit, as well as you can also take some of these sweaters. I know that you've seen this where sweaters are being used as a top, but here you could take a sweater, and just leave it unbuttoned and maybe have a tee underneath of it, something to that effect, but it would still give you that third layer look without resorting to a blazer. Next on my you don't need it list is a large tote. Now, if you do need this, obviously just ignore this advice. However, I don't believe many of us at this stage in our life are doing long commutes where we have to maybe pack a breakfast, a lunch, a snack, our laptop, our just anything we need. And I just don't think that these are necessary. I mean, these are beautiful bags. I love the colors of these bags. However, I just don't feel like at this time in my life that I need to pack everything for on the go all day long and for being away from my home for hours on end. When I was younger, I loved a good tote. I always wanted to find one that I could, take on my commute, especially when I used to ride the bus and the subway, because I would pack a book, I would pack lunch, I'd pack snacks. At that time, we didn't have laptops, but when I was working in the city, but I had a long commute, and you basically just packed your life in there. And oftentimes what we did was we just like in what is that 9 to 5 or whatever movie that was that had Dolly was it Dolly Parton in it? I can't remember, but anyway, it was about going to the office and trying to fit into that world. We often wore sneakers for our long commutes, because not only did I have to stand at a bus stop, then take a subway, and then walk blocks and blocks to my office building, you just needed a place to have that change of shoes. So totes were very practical at that time in my life. However, if you're anything like me and your lifestyle is a lot more casual now, this is just not going to work for me. And I struggled with this a little bit because I had did a video about a year ago where I bought my first large handbag, because I always felt a little bit odd wearing large handbags. But I know that proportionally, because I am 5'10", I look, quote, better in a larger bag. However, that bag, as beautiful as it is, I've only worn it outside maybe 2 times. And that was a real lesson for me. What works for me better is to just find a little cross body bag. You can get one that's like in a camera shape. You can get one that's a little more boho. You can get one that's just a little more interesting or maybe outdoorsy. There are so many great over the, the crossbody bags and over the shoulder bags that you can get in a smaller size that are probably going to work for your lifestyle. I'm not packing again for a whole day away from home, and I'm not having to pack things for children or anything like that. So this is why this made this to my you don't need it list. Next on my you do not need it list is the trench coat. I loved a good trench, and I used to wear it when I commuted all the time, and we had sort of a rainy season, and it was quite useful. And I like the longer ones because, it could help keep your clothes dry, keep you more dry, keep you more warm. However, this is not a practical look for me when you are just popping in and out of a car because of the length. You have to kind of adjust it while you're trying to get your seatbelt on. And, then it pulls, and it's just not something to just pop on and go. And I don't think, unless you're living a lifestyle or you live in some place, Britain, where it rains all the time, or maybe Seattle or Portland, or somewhere where you're going to get a lot of rain and you need that full coverage, I would suggest that we just steer clear of a trench coat. To me, it looks very corporate, it looks old money, and that's partially why it has been so popular again for the last several years, although it never really goes out of style. However, this just screams corporate to me, and I just cannot see myself wearing a full trench coat anymore. I think there are better alternatives. I think there are better alternatives out there for us to wear at this phase in our life, particularly if our lifestyle is very casual. I like this first jacket I'm showing you here in the blue. I like the length of it. It would still keep you dry. And it looks like it may even have a roll up and then pop out hood, so you could keep your hair dry. But it's just casual enough to wear in your everyday life, to wear with jeans, to wear with sweatpants, yoga pants, whatever you have to dash out of the house in. And it's just a lot more easy to manipulate getting in and out of your car. And I think it's a good alternative. The next one that I wanted to show you was, here's another really cute rain jacket from Land's End with the floral all over it and sort of some gathering around the waist. There's so many styles and colors out here that I think are just would work better for us at this stage of our life than a traditional trench coat. And this one is another jacket I like. I believe this one's from LL Bean. And again, very casual. And I think this is one of those, I forget what you call the treatment, but it does have a waterproof treatment on it. It's not going to handle a huge downpour, but it is going to keep you dry if you're just kind of walking through the drizzle, walking through a little bit of light rain, in and out of the store, running your errands. I think this is a good alternative. And then here we have the barn jacket. And I like this one just because I thought the barn jacket in the pink was really pretty. I've not been a big fan of the barn jacket. So it's something that I wouldn't buy. In fact, I went and bought myself, and I'm sure you'll see it, as we get into fall and I show you some of the things that, caught my eye and share with you, is I did buy a suede jacket. It's very lightweight, and it's something I had been wanting, and I bought it used. I got it on, I think I got it on eBay, and I just really enjoy that look a little bit better. Will not keep me obviously dry, but I still need like some kind of jacket like this. It is missing in my wardrobe that, if it's just rainy all day and I've got lots of errands to run, I have something to kind of keep me dry and warm. So I think that there's good alternatives out there, because dressing in a long trench coat I just think it's more trouble than it's worth when you're getting in and out of cars, dashing around trying to do your errands. And again, it is based on where you live and what the weather is like where you live at. However, I love the way this looks, but I also am not interested in the cropped trench jackets. They're probably easier to put on and wear, but I feel like they almost lack a little bit of coverage if you were dressing for actual rain that you needed to go in and out of. I think that having one that's more of a thigh length one, or at least just be, at the top of your thighs, would give you a little more coverage than some of the crop trenches that I'm seeing. They're cute, but I don't think they are practical. Okay, the other thing you don't need is the perfect tee. We see so much of that, especially in capsule wardrobe videos and, advice. You have to have that perfect tee. Unless you are someone that actually wears t-shirts a lot on their own, I don't think it's that necessary. You want to buy one that's maybe a nice cotton, that's going to hold up well, and, has the perfect, fit around the neck for you. But the amount of to-do that has been made over finding the perfect tee, to me, is not something that fits in with my lifestyle. I rarely wear t-shirts. The only time you will see me in a t-shirt generally is when I'm cleaning my house and I'm working up a sweat and I'm getting dirty and I'm doing some down and dirty project. Other than that, I don't wear t-shirts anymore. I don't think they look nice on women that are over 60. However, that may be a style thing for you and you may find them comfortable. I just kind of grew out of the whole, or matured out of the whole t-shirt wearing kind of thing. So it's not that I never wear a t-shirt, but I kind of keep them to just in the house. So what I would recommend instead is, well, here's the other thing too. A lot of people like to layer with the t-shirt, and that's been very popular for the last couple of years, where they're showing the crew neck t-shirts underneath maybe a sweater. And although I always like that look, the only time I would pop on anything underneath the sweater is if it's cashmere and I don't want to be sweating quite so much. And in that instance, I think, and having a nice cotton tee is important, but I don't think it's everything that, we're told that it is. So tell me what you think needs to be added to this you don't need it list. I would be very curious to know, based on where you live at, and what your lifestyle is, if you disagree with any of these, or you can think of other things that I have not mentioned that you just definitely have decided in your life as a mature woman that you are not purchasing anymore, and what your plans are coming up for the fall, and whether you've got a real handle on what you want, and making sure you put that little check in your spirit saying, do I really need this, and thinking on it. I would just be interested to know how you deal with the things, as a mature woman, that we are told that we must have to look elegant, to look dressing our age, which I do not dress for my age. I dress for my lifestyle. So I'd love to hear from you, and I will see you in the next video.